Good evening and welcome to Boston Ujima Project's inaugural UCDN, Ujima Co-Direct Network Experiment or pre-recording. It is Wednesday, May 30th. It's 6:30 p.m. Here we are at Black Market. You can see the step and repeat behind me. You can see the pro-Black mural behind Gio. You can see the edge of the mural behind Simone, and you can see the other edge behind Siona. So we're very excited to be here. You can see the rest of the space. You can see the fan behind Ray. So we're excited. We're here now 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 24-hour access. So we encourage people to come by and visit us. 2136 Washington Street in Nubian Square. I'm not a native Bostonian, so I do call it Nubian Square, but I think others will say Dudley Square or down Dudley still. But we definitely would love people to come visit us. So this is a great space. First, we'll do some intros before we get into tonight's topics. I see Ray first on my screen. So I'll start with you, Ray, and then we can go counterclockwise in the room. We're all in the same room.
Sounds good. Hey, everyone. I'm Ray. I use they them pronouns. I am the Director of Coalitions, Policy, and Grassroots Organizing at Boston Ujima Project. And you.
Great. I'm Siona. I'm a member and I also help with the Anchor Institutions member team. And I live in Dorchester. I'll pass it to Samala.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Samala Dibi. I live currently in Nubian Square, also not a Boston neighbor, or sorry, Boston native, so we'll also call it Square, but I hear the Dudley. I have been an Ujima member, I believe, since 2019, right before the pandemic. I joined a member group and then it was Ujima on Zoom. So I am very pleased to be here in person with fellow members and staff and to have this conversation. And I'll pass it to Gio.
Smooth. Hi, I'm Gio. I use the he, him series as pronouns, and my role at Boston Ujima Project is one of our community engagement managers. And I am a resident of Dorchester. I've been bused this area hundreds, if not thousands of times. So I saw and honor the transition from Dudley to Nubian Square by community organizers like us, and eager to commit myself to more learning and organizing.
Hey everyone, I'm Simone. I use she, her pronouns. I've been a member of Ujima since I'm not really sure when. Someone should just.
I think since the beginning, 2017. Yeah.
Okay. In a variety of iterations. So here I am. And I am a Boston native, born and raised in Dorchester, live in Roxbury. And I'll pass it back to you.
And we have one person who's not in the room with us, but is on Zoom. Mona, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Mona. I'm on the communications team at Boston Ujima Project. I use she, her pronouns, and I am from Cambridge. I'm not sure if that was a part of it, but yeah, I'm not from Boston, but I'm from Cambridge, so just across the river.
Cool. Thank you, Mona. So what I will do really quickly is I will pass it to Simone. So if you've ever joined us at our live co-directs on Zoom or our other member meetings, we usually start with a check-in question. It's usually not recorded, but we usually start with a check-in question, warms up the room, allows people to get to know each other more. And so I'm gonna pass it to Simone, who's gonna just read out what the check-in question was for tonight. We're not going to answer it live, but we will offer it to you so you can think about it at home. Simone's questions are often very provocative and thoughtful. Simone?
All right, in keeping with the theme for this month, which is Abolition Summer, take some time as you're listening to this recording to think about yourself and the systems that exist within you, and think about what internal systems you might be abolishing during this Abolition Summer.
Thank you, Simone. All right. First, Gio's gonna talk about where we were, Ujima, and where we will be in June. Gio.
Thank you so much, Nia, and everybody else here. So we were on May 30th at the BIPOC Pride. It is a week-long of events, and we held it down. A couple of staff were able to be there, hold a presence, and on that weekend, June 3rd, we had 2 events in one day: the Trans Resistance March and Festival, as well as the celebration of grassroots organizing. All really wonderful events and really speak to how we maintain our relationships in the community. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about where we will be in the month of June and beyond. So we'd like to welcome everybody to the Black Market by the Block Party on June 10th. Once again, that is June 10th here at Black Market Nubian, where there will be a huge Buy Back the Block event. That is the theme, and DJ Premier, amongst other artists, will be performing. Then we'll have the Juneteenth celebration at the ICA, the Institute for Contemporary Art, on June 19th. Yes, you heard that right. At the ICA, waterfront, seaport, all that. So wear something nice, come experience Juneteenth with us, and just be sure to, bring somebody, get engaged. Then we have BAMS Fest. We will be tabling there, vending there on June 24th. BAMS Fest is something that I really enjoy personally, especially if you like music, local music, arts, and just family-oriented fun. That's June 24th. Then finally, not for the whole summer, but just for these announcements, we have Black Portals 2. That is the second rendition of the event that was last year, a nightlife event on July 22nd. You'll hear more about Black Portals 2 in a few minutes. And finally, for our announcements on where we will be, we are thinking strategically about member reinvigoration, an attempt to leverage the power of our member base, re-engage classic members who have been around with us pre-pandemic days, thinking and implementing new ways to engage recent and new members, people who have chosen membership with us. Our relationship building is really important in terms of building trust and also creating an engaging way to politically educate our community through workshops and also participate in our member teams and more. Thank you.
Gio, thanks for that update. I think folks are really excited to hear about all the in-person events. I'm curious, how much does Ujima expect to continue to hold more in-person member-oriented events in the future?
I'm glad you asked that. It follows a trend of members themselves, like yourself, saying like, when are we going to be outside together? We hear the word outside used a lot. And the answer is, first of all, come volunteer with us. If you're a member or simply are aware of and really support the mission of Ujima, come get engaged with us through volunteering. Show up to some of the events that we outlined earlier, and that will create the conditions to allow for in-person events in the future. We need to increase our interest and then co-create the responsible strategies that honor the public health circumstances that we have, COVID and all that, and also figure out where we will be. Is it at Black Market? Most likely. Do we need to be somewhere else? Please let us know about that. Thanks for that question.
Thanks.
Can I add to that? And then I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add, Ray, to the member reinvigoration. So I appreciate the question, Samala. This makes me think of a couple of things. I know one, internally, we have a document where we're tracking events as we learn about them. And we use it to have staff, for example, sign up to volunteer. So one thing I wonder about is what we can make public. So making something similar like that, that's public, that we would put out in the wire, for example. So would ask people then to be kind of attuned to that and to look out for that. We have the a volunteer module in our client relationship management service, our CRM, that we're still trying to get some pretty good use out of. We've done it a couple of times. It's not been perfect. But again, I think we'll be thinking over the next couple of months about how we can use some of our technology and how we can use some processes to put volunteer opportunities in front of our members. And again, as we're learning about events, to say, hey, this is another place where we're gonna be, and we would love if you could join us here. We're also just trying to get better about planning a little more in advance. So we're going from having done not much because of the pandemic in person to doing a little bit last year. I think we did maybe 2 events last year, to with Gio and with Mary, one of our other community engagement managers who was not able to join us tonight, but will be at the next co-direct, I believe, show up at a few more places. So also, as we are able to do a little bit of further planning, we do anticipate, I would say, many more in person. I'll just add to that quickly. This will be for later co-directs, but I know Gio and Mary have also been cooking up some fun ideas. For example, cookouts happening here at Black Market, but I think that's going to be more of a fall thing, as well as what Gio has called, I think he called them open hours, something like that.
Something that involves a hot beverage
Yeah, something.
or iced.
Or hot or iced beverage, but that's still in development. So again, you're gonna kind of see that ramp up.
Thank you, Nia.
And I would just add that, yeah, I think we've also been toying with the idea, myself along with the membership engagement team, Mary and Gio, have been toying with the idea of having like a calendar, a shared Google calendar of outreach opportunities for number one, ourselves to, stay on top of all of the things that are coming down the pipeline, but also to invite members, hey, this thing is coming up, do you have a free moment? And so we've been toying with ideas on how to make different, not just outreach, but different community events and just spaces where we can be in community with one another more accessible. And like Gio mentioned, staying in line with the needs and wants of our membership, while also remaining as safe as possible. We don't want to be holding super splitter events, making sure that we are caring for our communities in all the ways. And so we're keeping that in mind as well.
Thank you, Ray. And Sienna has put in the chat, and I don't know if you want to talk about this out loud, Sienna, but Sienna put in the chat, engage the Ujima Time Bank, maybe. So do you feel comfortable talking about that out loud real quick?
Just as a thought that if once we have a way to kind of mobilize or organize and share, that why not then put it on the Time Bank platform and allow either volunteers or members to earn some currency. We can kind of continue the ecosystem of time banking.
Excellent.
It's a little extra work, but maybe.
It's not a lot of extra. But I'm also talking, I'm not gonna be doing it.
Not it. But just how cool that would be to kind of keep it going.
Excellent. That's a great idea. Thank you. So yeah, some excellent ideas. Google Calendar, Time Bank. Thank you so much. All right. And thank you, Gio. It's back to you. Abolition Summer.
Smooth. So and not just in the spirit of the check-in question we answered earlier, but overall, what needs to be done. Our Abolition Summer workshop series is indeed on abolishing and reimaging oppressive systems. Our speakers so far include Alexandra Goodwin from the Action Center on Race and the Economy, Boston's very own Sean Ellis, co-founder of the Exoneree Network, Esther Kalemba from the local UMass chapter of the Dissenters, Dr. Misty DeBerry, a senior lecturer from Dartmouth College, and Sana Fidel and Aaron Stewart from Citizens for Juvenile Justice. We are hoping that we will get engaged on Wednesdays throughout June and July for our Abolition Summer workshops so that we can put the tools into your hands and figure out how to use our member-led systems and other forms of community organizing that stretch far beyond these borders so that we can indeed create Abolition Summer for many more summers to come.
Thank you, Gio. And just looking around for any questions, reactions, feedback.
Sounds really exciting. Yeah, I think people are probably really eager to find ways to, get involved and learn, and so I'm glad you all are focusing on this.
Thank you very much. All right. Next topic is upcoming votes. So just want to be able to give you a heads up. We do have a vote coming up. It's been noted both in the feedback that we've gotten on the ballots and at our last Coda-Reg. Votes are happening more often, and there are more of them happening more often. Yes, thank you, Ray. So this is super exciting time for us. So we want to do our best, just to give you a heads up. It is not, although it might be ideal, it's not super possible to absolutely schedule them in advance. We do our best, but then that's based on certain factors, like the responsiveness of the business, for example. And when I say the responsiveness of the business, that is taking into consideration what the business can do. So it's not to say, businesses are acting up and they're not being responsive, but it's to say we're asking for certain kinds of information. We're asking for certain, didn't anticipate that. Someone just called me on FaceTime. So need to think about that for next time. But we're asking for certain types of information. The business may have it at the ready, they may not have it at the ready. Businesses do their financials, different businesses do their financials differently. So it takes a little bit of time to get it into shape that we can use and understand and analyze. And so the timelines will shift based on that. And so for example, the last vote that we just had, we actually pushed our vote back maybe 2 or 3 times to make sure that we have the right financials and we were able to do the diligence the way we were, or the way we wanted to. So all that just to say, I think one kind of thing to look out for, it's still not the biggest heads up, but when we release a credit memo or an equity memo, then you can know a vote's gonna happen the following week. Because we then, or no, not the following week, sorry, a vote will happen 2 weeks later. Because then we like to give members a week to look at that credit memo or equity memo. We have the live credit memo or equity memo Q&A. So give members an opportunity to come talk with the business, talk with their TA providers, for example, ask some questions, provide some feedback. And then we try to then turn around the vote the following week. So that's a little bit of a heads up. When that comes out, a vote is coming a couple of weeks later. So I'm now able to say we have started due diligence on the Bay State banner. For those who don't know, the Bay State Banner is Boston's Black-owned newspaper, owned previously by Mel Miller for I don't even know how many years. I want to say 40+ years, long time. And one of the things that's always a conversation, I would say, in Black communities in Boston, and I would say maybe Black communities everywhere, is succession. So when we have jewels, like the only Black-owned something, always a conversation is what happens when the kind of current caretaker or owner is aging or retires. And this has been a conversation about the Bay State banner for some time. And it's very exciting that Andre Stark and Ron Mitchell purchased the banner. And I believe that deal was finalized a little earlier this year. I think it might have been finalized in March, if I'm not mistaken. And they were named by Ujima members in 2021. So had the pleasure of running into one of the owners at an event at RCC, letting them know, hey, you were named as a business we love, let them know about the process. They were surprised and thrilled to learn that there is a thing where community members name businesses and tell people invest in these businesses, and immediately interested. And as it turns out, had gotten recent approval to seek even further investment. So just started. Again, keeping in mind, it takes a little bit of time. So we aim to kind of get the equity memo for the Bay State banner out as quickly as possible, but we still want to be robust in our process. So we don't want to rush it. But I think we can anticipate sometime this month, if not, so when I say this month, my mind is already in June. So I'm going to say sometime in June. And I would say the latest early July, You should expect an equity memo from us, followed again, like I said, a couple of weeks later by that vote being released.
One question,
Mhm.
for the sake of the audience. Could you maybe remind us of just like the key points in the process of gauging a business from the list of businesses that we love all the way through to
Sure.
when they're eligible to apply for
Yeah.
funding?
Sure, thank you. So I appreciate that question. Once a business has been named a business we love, what we do with that list of businesses is that list of businesses then has to be ratified as an investment plan. So the last investment plan that we ratified in 2022. These were businesses that were named through in 2021 through members' personalized investment plans. Personalized investment plan is an online form that members can complete. So when people join Ujima, they get a nice kickout email that says, welcome, you get to do all these things. And one of the things you get to do is name businesses. And so people are able to name, I think people are able to name, if I'm not mistaken, up to 15 businesses through this process. And compile it for the year. So we did that in 2021. It was ratified in 2022. Then the next process is actually, I would say, the hardest part of this process, which is connecting with businesses we don't already have a relationship with. So we have our fund management team and our business alliance team, which is comprised of Genoa Daly, Andre Bennett, and Yusuf Alamutu. Genoa and Yusuf are currently on vacation and can't be with us tonight. But what they are tasked with is looking at that list. And so right now on our investment plans, we have 220 businesses. They are tasked with looking at that list and trying out every strategy to connect with those businesses. And to say, hey, you've been named as a business we love, and this is what it means. It means you're eligible to apply to join the Ujima Good Business Alliance. And what that entails is passing our community standards screen. And if our community standards committee invites you to join the alliance after you pass the screen, the business fills out an application, they have a conversation with the community standards committee. You are then eligible for investment if you want it, as well as other supports. So that's the general process. So what takes us the most time is connecting with the business if we don't already have a warm relationship. Did that answer the question?
Yes. Hopefully it's useful to everybody. One other question I had was, I've noticed more votes in the last couple of months, and that's exciting. What has changed on the Ujima side to enable more votes to happen?
Yeah.
More frequency.
So that's a good question. So on the Ujima side, we have more people. So I mentioned we have our fund management team and our business alliance team. They were all hired last year. So Andre and Genoa were, well, this is not true. Well, yes, this is kind of true. Andre and Genoa were hired in March. Yusuf was already with us as a fund management fellow, and then joined us full-time late last year. So the part that I said wasn't true was Yusuf was already with us, but he was not full-time. He was doing a fellowship with us. So one, we have increased capacity. We have people. The second thing is we launched the fund in December 2018. The bulk of our attention, I would say, in 2018 going into 2019 was fundraising. We did not ratify our first list of businesses until 2019. So Siona, I think you might remember, I think you remember at that time, the epic ballot that we started in April 2019. We tried to ask people 4 questions at once. That took forever. That took 4 months plus to close. So it wasn't until later in 2019 that we actually had a ratified list of businesses to work with. So late 2019, what happens the next year? Pandemic. So in December 2019, we finished our first investment vote, which was Settle Co-op. 2020, March 2020, pandemic, we're inside. Shit hits the fan. They're shut down. We still tried our best, I would say, throughout the remainder of the year to connect with businesses, but at that point, It would have been wildly inappropriate to be asking businesses if they wanted to take on loans.
Yep.
So we did not do that. So instead, we asked all of our stakeholders, what is it that you need? So our stakeholders at this point included community members, it included grassroots organizations, it included small business owners, it included artists. So as with everyone else, the focus shifted to mutual aid, providing resources, emergency funding, that sort of thing. So we actually did a lot of coalition work that year with our peers to get grants to businesses. So that also just changed the paradigm. So now grants are a part of the mix for businesses in a way that they just were not before. So credit to Jen Fago, ED of Commonwealth Kitchen, who because they are food incubators, could see what was happening with restaurants up close and was able to say these businesses can't even do 0% loans. So loans are not it. They need cash and they need it now.
Yeah.
So really, I would say kind of making the local call for grants
Yeah.
for small businesses that we all kind of responded to.
Yeah.
So that was 2020. We did think we were going to kind of come roaring back in 2021. So I already talked earlier about how difficult it is to connect with businesses if we don't have the relationship. So what we were dealing with, we had interns at the time, were unanswered phones, non-responsive emails. We did think we were going to be able to do more in 2021. And then that's where I would say on the Ujima side, because everything I've explained is a little external.
Mhm.
On the Ujima side, we just didn't have a refined strategy, I would say, in 2021. So I think we were still kind of trying to connect with people from a distance.
Yeah.
So still trying to kind of do the phone call, email thing. In 2022, as I said, we had some people, we were able to hit the streets, knock on doors and meet people that way. And I would also say, in addition to that, more people just were back, just in terms of who was operating and who we could connect with. And the additional thing is ratified a list. That list was better looking than the first list. So we had some complaints about the first list. There were a lot of white businesses on the list. Members named them. We did it. So we had to remind people we are not trying to invest in white businesses. So to that note, we also did a reframe to make sure people understood it's not just any business. We're interested in BIPOC owned businesses. We're interested minimally in BIPOC owned businesses that have positive impact. So I think that reframed helped. And this 2022 list, for example, just was a better looking list than the first one. So even these then were able to actually connect even via email. Other strategies we use, connecting with the main streets. So again, more people, more strategies, just more people out. So it was a confluence of factors that I would say has us being able to work at a faster pace. And we've also at the same time just worked to refine our processes, and having more people allowed us to do that as well.
Okay.
That's
Hard
very
work.
thorough.
Yeah.
It's a story I hadn't heard.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for the question, Samal. And I'm a big context person and detail person.
Mhm.
So my friends and teammates do tell me politely, essentially, yes. So
Land the plane.
feel free to do that. Thanks, Simone. Have a good night.
Maybe one,
Mhm.
if you can answer in 2 sentences or.
All right, I'll try.
That's the context that I might need.
Mhm.
The difference between an equity
Mm,
versus a
debt.
debt.
Yeah, sure. So,
And just in the frame of the voting.
Yeah.
Like to mobilize it.
yeah, so primary, thank you, I appreciate that question, Siona, I appreciate that question. Debt is the loan. So as we traditionally understand it, loan, fixed term, usually, fixed rate. Equity is a ownership stake.
Yeah.
So I would say that's the primary difference. Not necessarily a fixed return, because it's less predictable.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just in terms of like when we go to vote, did that take longer to kind of vet?
Our first equity vote was Jazz Urbane.
Yes.
Um,
Will the process be a little different in terms of what we can?
No, it won't be.
timeline? Okay.
Nope, it won't be. So the primary difference is instead of credit memo, it's an equity memo,
Okay.
but format's the same.
Yeah.
Essentially same information. Yep, process is
Timelines,
exactly the same.
definitely the same.
Yep, exactly,
Thank you.
exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Sienna. All right. Warning you, this is gonna be long, this next agenda item. Relatedly, we will soon be announcing a new process. That's our businesses we need process.
Yes.
So if people recall, if you've been with us previously in our assemblies and on your personalized investment forms, generally, there have been three categories of businesses that we have asked people to name. And this has been primarily at in-person assemblies. I actually don't think we do this on the forums anymore. Oh, no, we do. So the last one we don't do. Historically, we've asked name businesses you love. We've just kept it that simple. Name businesses you love. We've also said name businesses you think we need that we don't currently have in our communities. And then we've also said name businesses you'd like to replace. Now on the personalized investment forms, I think we just asked you to name businesses we love and name businesses we need. I don't think we asked the replace thing anymore. The investment plans that we currently have, our ratified list, those are all businesses we love. So what we've done is we've taken all of the businesses that get named in the past. For example, this vote that I talked about in April, we had a list of 140 businesses. We presented all those businesses to members and we asked members to ratify that list. We got feedback. We had a feeling, and we were right, probably a lot of information to digest. Probably cannot realistically expect people to really take in 140 businesses and really be voting on them.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. We've switched to a delegate process, but that's a bit of a tangent, so I won't talk about that. Just to say, when you look at our investment pipeline, those are all businesses we love. What we've done with the businesses we need is those are general categories. So I can't remember how many categories we had. I want to say maybe we had 20, something like that. I can't remember. But at our Old Roots, New Rules Assembly in 2018, we did an arbitrary cut where we said, let's present the needs that were named to members. And then the top 14 are going to be kind of our top community needs. And you can find that if you go to our Necessary Systems website. We have a community needs section. So the number one need, for example, was community land trust. And that was for affordable housing and real estate. Other needs were sit-down restaurants, coffee shop, bookstore, art spaces, a space like Black Market. And I think I just named maybe 6, I think. So there are 8 more needs on the list. I can't remember. I think maybe childcare, affordable childcare was one. Yes, community-owned internet was another. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, was community-owned energy on
I think
there?
I was gonna say, I think.
Yeah, community-owned energy was on there. So what we've done with that list, and Samala and Siona were part of the Ujima Neighborhood Economic Study Group. That sunsetted, I don't know, a couple of years ago, 2021. I think it sunsetted in 2021. I think we started it in 2019. But what that group did was they did feasibility studies on those needs. And for us, that was the first step because we wanted to essentially do education in terms of how a need becomes a reality in a community. And so we know that there are sometimes terrible reasons why needs don't become realities, racism, classism, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And sometimes there are good reasons. Feasibility studies will help you determine what's essentially feasible, what's possible, what's not. So that group did do feasibility studies. Again, if you go to our Necessary Systems page, you'll see a link to the YouTube videos and some recordings that talk about the feasibility studies. What we also did was our workshops, our monthly workshops were tagged to those feasibility studies. So we've done a month of restaurants, a month of community land trust, a month on community-owned energy, for example. And then we didn't do anything else after that. So that's the businesses we need category. We are now announcing a new process that's attached to that list of businesses for a couple of reasons. One, we have actually a whole bunch of businesses we love that have not yet been ratified as investment candidates or that have not yet been ratified on an investment list or investment plan. I can't tell you how many businesses, but there are a lot. Second is new businesses are forming all the time. And some of them are interested in Ujima. And so what happens is they say, hey, we'd like to become a part of the network. And then our response is you have to be named. That's our process. And then it's long. So we always try to set expectations, and we always try to we just want to let you know it's not quick. It's a long process. People are usually understanding and at the same time, not ideal.
Yes.
We also have, even if they're not new, pre-existing businesses, for whatever reason, just we're not connected or affiliated. They learn newly about Ujima, perhaps because we have more staff people, so more outreach. So they newly learn about Ujima and say, hey, I'm interested. And then we have the same response. So we want to be able to be more responsive than just to say, this is our process. It takes a long time. Wait a year or two, we'll get to you. And we thought a good way to do this that was still in alignment with our process, with community-led process, was to create a new process that is tagged to the businesses we need. So what we're going to do is, there are two primary components of this. One, we're going to take all of the businesses we love that have not yet been ratified into an investment plan, and we're going to do a need screen. So we're going to go through and we're going to say, which of these businesses fits at least one of these needs? So they don't have to fit all of them. They just need to fit one. We're also going to open up a call. So this is a heads up to members. We're going to open up a call and we're going to say, nominate businesses that you think are Ujima aligned, that fit one of these needs categories. And that will allow us to bring in new businesses into the pipeline for consideration. Originally, it was our plan to open this up today, May 30th. Originally it was May 29th. That's Memorial Day. We didn't think of the holiday. We may announce it next week. So when I say next week, I'm talking next week from when this recording will be released. So that would be the week of June 12th is when we're thinking we're going to announce this call. So heads up. We're going to announce a new process, and we're going to open up a call for new nominations for businesses into the Ujima network or the Ujima pipeline for consideration. And the primary criteria will be BIPOC owned, positive social impact, and meets a community need. And again, community need is what has been determined by Ujima members and community members.
Mhm.
I'll pause there for any questions, feedback, reflections.
All I'm gonna say is that we need this,
Thank you, Gio. Yeah,
not just we at the table, at the larger Ujima table.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll say this is great. I know, like, it's a great pivot to try to do both.
thank you.
I do wonder if 2 weeks is short, but.
Yeah.
Because the needs list is quite diverse.
Yes,
And being that it's summer as well.
yeah, good
Um,
point.
And then also how, I'm trying to think of the anchor team, and as part of the anchor strategy, we have the Faith Network, the Ujima Faith Network. How can we engage allies that are not, most of our faith network is kind of outer skirts of Boston and beyond.
Right,
So how can we engage them in this kind of call?
yeah, yeah. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So I think one response I can have to that is the date for the call is not set in stone.
Yes, okay.
This is something on the team that Sierra, who's our Director of Communications, Culture, and Enfranchisement, and Andre, who I mentioned earlier, who's our Business Alliance Coordinator. It's primarily the three of us that are working pretty closely on kind of unveiling this new process. I think Genoa's participating as well. Genoa, who's our fund administrator. So I think we can happily take in this feedback and look at the calendar and see when is a good time, because I do appreciate that piece about, is 2 weeks enough prep, because we do want people to participate. So we don't want to kind of open it and then it's a dud. For sure. That said, it's funny that you mentioned 2 weeks, is what I didn't mention is the call is going to be open for 2 weeks. So I didn't mention that. And we figured if it made sense to kind of have it match our voting timeline. So when we open a vote, members have 2 weeks to vote. So we figured that kind of regularity and familiarity made sense. But in terms of will we announce it in 2 weeks? That's not set in stone. That can be up for consideration. We can definitely take, for example, the remainder of this week. For people who are watching the video, it's gonna be weird, but we're talking about the remainder of the week of May 30th and the following week, to think about how we really make sure we inform people in a way that what's the word, maximizes participation. Yeah.
Actually, as you said that, I was thinking that totally makes sense to try to align. I don't know if this is what you meant, but align the dates of that open call to a voting activity. And just as a thought, maybe not make it just one cycle.
Yeah.
Um,
I actually wasn't thinking that, but that's a good idea.
It's some
Actually.
sort of call-ins.
Yeah.
So that we can maybe refine each of the iterations.
Yeah.
Of the call.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to add more questions on it, like who's nominating and
Right.
whatever it is, but.
You know what? That absolutely is not what I meant. And that's also an excellent idea. That's a great idea. No, I'm not gonna, I never pretend to be a genius, so. I'm not gonna claim that at all, but that's actually a really good idea, actually. Because even what's occurring to me is our last vote, the one that we just completed on cupcake therapy and the Pearl, that was our first double vote. So the experiment for us is can people kind of handle 2 votes on one ballot?
Yeah.
And we learned people can.
Yeah.
So actually what I'm thinking is that just a optional part of the ballot, that call, when you say kind of attaching it to the cycle, it makes me think, do we also then just say, hey, new call, and it's optional, so you can do it or not.
Opportunity
Yeah.
name.
And everybody knows we're gonna bug them, so they're voting.
If you've only had one form to go to.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Sienna.
Yeah.
And
Great.
I'm always kind of, for my own sake, big on expectation setting.
Yes.
I'm not a, formal planner, but if I can know, the next time I'm called for an investment vote, I wonder if I can nominate a business or.
That's
if I can,
excellent idea. We should have been doing that.
Some
That's a good
way.
idea. Thank you, Sienna. All right. Yeah.
I think overall, what really excites me about this is being able to, like, the potential of it to change the perception of Ujima as like, a little slow.
Right.
To like much more accessible.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
we're much, we're in dialogue with, like, business openings.
Right.
Like changing priorities.
Right.
Businesses that people get really excited about. And it's not just like a once a year opportunity where people get to kind of maybe get their name in, but it's like a much more process.
I appreciate that.
I think Ujima does need a change in perception, at least among business owners.
Right.
It's like a little bit more accessible, like
Word.
more ways to kind of get on the Ujima radar.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And to be fair, I think there was a communications, and I think somebody, maybe Sierra had pointed it out
Yes.
earlier, like last year, and I'm like, I did remember reading that.
Yeah.
Then it was several months after that, some
Right.
declaration. So I think just being able to reiterate every opportunity.
Yes.
Messaging.
Yep. So thank you for reminding me about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we did send that out because we anticipated that the big kind of ramp up was gonna be 2022.
Yeah.
And then it was a hop,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like a huge ramp up. And then we didn't do it this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the reminder there is, it should just be a regular
Yeah.
reminder, at least at the top of each year.
Mhm.
Because even that document that we sent out, that's outdated. So that it does need to be updated, and we actually do have it on our calendar to send an updated one out. But we also didn't want it to get lost in a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
So we want it to be a dedicated email. So I actually appreciate that reminder, because we can, updated with this new process. Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this new process within a process
Yeah.
that we've just come up with tonight.
And maybe just one more thing.
Yeah.
For this phase.
Uh-huh. Okay. Word.
These are, you know, catchphrases.
It's too bad Sierra is not here because she would be having a field day with that.
Oh, man. That's a good point.
Yeah, yeah,
Tagline that says, what is this?
right.
Yeah.
Word,
Catch someone's eye on the wire. or
right,
something like
And one that you can use like every time you want to introduce this,
word,
the call, right?
word.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
And I said, if Sierra was here, she'd be having a field day, but Mona is here, who's on our comms team. I don't know if you are having any reactions, Mona.
that.
And Mona's on Zoom. Mona might be gone. I do that. Mona might be
I might be
gone.
making dinner.
Exactly. All right, but no, this is great. I love it. And I actually think Sierra loves a good meme and loves a good tagline. So I think she would be all over it. Thank you. Any other questions here? I am seeing a question in our doc. Do we still have that question or not?
I think you had answered it in the previous section.
Okay.
With the businesses we named, that we love. So I think just the cadence is like, there's a call once the memo credit info is released, and then it's about 2 weeks.
Yep,
Mhm.
yep.
So I think that kind of cadence is helpful.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, I think predictability to members is a good.
Excellent. Thank
Yeah.
you. Appreciate it. And do know, we will call, we will text.
You know, I appreciate those texts. I never respond to them, but but they do get me, especially because I'm also last minute. So,
Right.
you know, I'm like the vote that you're receiving.
Right,
Yeah.
yes.
I still got it in there, but those texts are really good.
Yes,
Really helpful.
thank you.
Thank you for delinquent members like myself.
Yes.
There's 2 weeks, you're not delinquent. I mean.
Right,
you have
yeah.
time.
If you get it in,
Right.
exactly.
That really shows how like real our voting process is, you know,
Yes.
like we really need everybody to vote. We don't have a secret council.
Right.
Yeah, you know, where they all just wear things as a team. You know, we just don't have that. We don't have,
Anita Cole.
Right.
yeah.
Never get told.
Everybody that votes for you. Body, member body, Ujima ecosystem, once again.
Thank you, Gio. All right, Gio, keep it going. Our next topic is Black portals.
Excellent. Black Portals 2, a extremely exciting upcoming event that we'll be hosting here at Black Market Nubian. So a little bit about this event. Black Portals 2 will definitely be a night to remember, as attendees, both members and non-members alike, can look forward to live DJs, drinks curated alcoholically and non-alcoholically, foods from our neighborhood, and digital projections of art. Some of our artistic partners are the Artist Collective, Digital Soup, and a couple Ashe cultural grant fellows, as well as Ujima Good Business Alliance member Black Market Nubian mentioned earlier. They're partnering with us. Yes, we work here, but we also want to party with them too. And all of these members and community organizing artists are going to come together to bring this vibrant vision to life. We want to highlight the fact that this event is not called Black Portals 2 by accident. We want this curation of visual portals to feel decidedly Black, joyful, striking but familiar, and imaginative. So we do need your help. Please stay engaged with our social medias, our Ujima newsletter, because we will be putting out a call for artist submissions. So I'm very excited to see what people are going to come up with. While the links are not live, they very much will be very soon. And I encourage you to check out whether it's the Instagram bio, the Facebook page, our own Ujima newsletter, and our upcoming events on www.ujimaboston.com. to be able to see, when you can buy your tickets, how to submit possible art that, can be displayed and interacted with on July 22nd. And even, who are the DJs, who are the artists going to be there. And ultimately, you should be here and bring a friend, bring a family, bring a comrade, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be a fun night, and we need you to co-create the vibe with us. I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on like Black Photos too? I know we did drop a save the date flyer, kind of gives you a little vibe already.
I'm excited for it. Yeah, I'm ready to like party with people. But also it's gonna be like, it's gonna feel like a immersive cultural experience for me. I did not go to Black one, and so I'm really excited to dig into what this will look like.
I like that, Ray.
Thank you, Ray.
Yeah, and I also must mention that, Black Portals 2 is a nightlife experience. It's more than an event, meaning that, yes, the doors will be open, like 7 p.m. There will be footsteps coming in, and we will continue to welcome people at all times of the evening with your tickets. There could be opportunities. I'm not sure if there'll be opportunities to purchase at the door or pay at the door. I don't see why not.
There were last year, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it sounds like we'll revisit the same strategies that worked last year, but we do encourage you to prepare ahead of time, buy your tickets online, and it's the best way to receive updates as well when you allow that to be added to whatever calendar you have on your phone, laptop, or on the fridge.
Alright,
7 p.m. until midnight.
let's party.
So for now, Gio, you're looking for a call for vendors or artists rather, sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. Links will be going live. June is just starting, and you will be seeing it smack dab right in your digital face. And please follow those links to submit. That process will be outlined by our staff very soon. So yeah, and then we do have vendors set already for the beverages and the foods. And yes.
Nice.
And I appreciate the question. On that note, did you say this already? Are you looking for volunteers that night, perhaps?
We are all looking for volunteers. And I didn't remind us all immediately, but thank you so much, Siona and Nia. Our volunteers can simply sign up on our summer tabling sheet. This can be made regularly available to anybody who has a email contact with us, ideally. If you want more information about it, you can email me, GEO as in Geo, at ujimaboston.com. You can also just email our info at ujimaboston.com. And ultimately, just stay in contact with the newsletter, go on our website, hop on the newsletter, and a lot of these things can be sent out. We will also be regularly announcing volunteer opportunities and other event updates at our Wednesday workshops in June and July, leading up until Black Photos 2, July 22nd, 7 p.m. to midnight. We will need volunteers for setup. We will need volunteers to close. And I hope volunteers will be very excited to also party.
Thank you. Yeah, volunteers get free
Any-
tickets.
Any party favors for
Yes.
volunteers? I bet that was
Yeah,
a
free
question.
tickets.
Hey.
Volunteers get free tickets.
Fantastic, fantastic. Help us curate the vibe. Thank you.
Should we skip number 9, Gio? What do you think?
I can include that later on.
Okay, let's go to coalitions, policy, and grassroots.
All right, I finally get some time. Hey, everybody.
I'll turn on the lights.
Yeah, it's Ray again, and I am going to give us some updates on our coalitions, policy, and grassroots organizing member team, and just what's happening with in the world of coalitions, policy, and grassroots organizing. So in terms of our member team, we are still building out that container. So we had our info session around the member team on March 22nd of this year. And we had our first member team meeting in April, which was really exciting. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had our second member team meeting. And so as folks may or may not remember from our info session that took place in March, we really wanted this to be a democratic process in terms of building out the structure of this member team. We really wanted the members to have a say in all aspects of that. And so what we presented was a proposal, and folks had the opportunity to like the proposal, chop the proposal up, say what they wanted to say, and build out a member team that felt like it was representative of their wants as it related to some of the political work we want to be engaging in. And so that work is still happening. We are still building the container with rotating monthly facilitators and note takers. And so, yeah, that is. And so some of the work that is happening within the member team as we are developing or creating this container is we are, our members are working on developing a capacity budget for our member team. So, coalitions, policy, and grassroots organizing can be a lot all on their own individual rights. And so because we'll be doing so much under the umbrella of this member team, we want to figure out, well, what do we have the capacity to do? What do we actually want to be doing? And so our members are developing a capacity budget. And they're also developing a skills and interest assessment. So we know that people have superpower, things that they're really good at, right? But we also know that people have things that they want to be good at or they want to be doing, right? And so we are working with our members once again to develop a skills and interest assessment so that we can make sure that people are placed not only strategically, but where they want to be placed to be doing this work. And so this work is taking time, and we know that that's what happens when you have a democratic process, that we have to move at the speed of trust, and I think we're really okay with that.
Wait, can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you just give us maybe like a sampling or a flavor of like what that group seems interested in focusing on?
Yeah, so I think, and this is really what's interesting, I think, about Ujima as a whole, is that our members are involved in so many different things. I mean, we are involved in a little of all, right? And so I don't think that we're at a point of honing in just yet on what our focus is. I think that one of the things that's really brilliant about this space is that folks get a chance to come into the space and talk about the work that is happening in other spaces and get folks involved in that work as well. One of the things that we are really interested in is education and like kind of political alignment. So those are some very like broad focuses that we're thinking about. But in terms of policy pieces immediately that we're focusing on as a member team, not quite yet. In terms of grassroots organizing strategy as a member team, we're getting there, right? And in terms of just the coalitional work, though, I think that is the part that is the most robust because our members are a part of everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, exciting. So now sounds like a really good time to join.
It absolutely does. So please join. And along with that, we're looking for more members to join, to take on more roles. So right now, the staff observers are myself and Gio and Mary. And we, in the beginning, we have been doing, trying to hold the container, just make sure that people feel empowered to be in this space and take on more leadership in shaping what our member team looks like. And it won't always be us. We, number one, don't want it to always be us. This is a member team, not a staff team. And we want to be able to support the leadership and the thoughts of our members. And so we are always looking for members to say, hey, I want to do this. And we're getting a little bit more and more of that each week. So that's really, really exciting. Along with kind of building that container is we are developing out an accountability committee for this member team. So the role of this committee will be to ensure that each meeting honors our collective dreams and aspirations for our member team. And this includes, but is not limited to, agenda creation, member team follow-up and updates, and member team culture planning. We're hoping to have an interested core group of members and rotating monthly members meet monthly. And this would include the monthly facilitator for that meeting and the monthly note taker, but it will also include like a core group of folks that won't be rotating in and out from our membership base out of that member team. So that invitation is open. Some folks have been invited directly, but if you're interested in being a part of our member team and being a part of our accountability committee, please reach out to me at ray@ujimaboston.org. That's REI@ujimaboston.org. And we can make sure that you get plugged in where you need to be. Question?
.com.
.com, I'm sorry. And not .org. And not .org, because it won't be. Ray@ujimaboston.com. So yeah, do you have a question? Yeah.
I can see that accountability committee really framework. I'm not sure about the schedule part, but the framework being really helpful in the other teams that I've been part of. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, we're giving it a try.
Yeah.
For other members, we're happy to do that. I think
Yeah.
what we wanted to is because we're a new member team and so much of it is held by the staff right now because we're just trying to figure it all out. We want to make sure that we're being well, just once again, we're honoring the spirit of what this member team really is supposed to be about. And it is not about myself. It is not about Mary or Gio or any person that would be a staff observer of this member team. It's about the member team. And so this is just a way to keep us in check.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, are there any other questions about our member team, what's going on before I get into some of the other work around coalitions, policy, and grassroots organizing at large in Ujima?
So have you guys had any conversations about like more timely initiatives, like the bank,
Public banking?
the public banking legislative, like there was something on the docket last period or
Yep.
something that there was like a call.
Yeah.
Had you guys thought about or talked about like, okay, jumping on that bandwagon for a discrete
Yeah.
effort and then pulling back to your.
So
Good question.
that's a really good question. I think that right now what we're trying to do is strike that balance between spaces that Ujima members are in, so Ujima is already represented there, and then spaces that this particular member team want to be intentionally like engaging in, right? And so Ujima is with the Massachusetts Public Bank, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But in terms of the member team, because we're so new, because we're so fresh, we don't want to be like, hey, here's this thing. Like, it would be strategic for us to support this as a member team, right? Because we know that public banking is already in alignment with what we do. That's why we have some Ujima members that are part of the coalition, public banking coalition. So out of the member team, I think that right now we're focused on like internally just building that trust with one another. I think that's the most important thing, because when the time comes, we know that we're going to have a process for supporting policy or for jumping onto things, right? We're going to have to develop that process. But while we are kind of just getting familiar with one another, getting politically aligned, I think that it's best that we just kind of have those kind of foundational conversations first. And I think the rest of the member team agrees.
Are you asking for an initial commitment time of some sort for new members when they come in?
Yeah, I think this is all a part of our capacity budget, actually, that our members are developing out. So this is us figuring all of that out. Like, what does the commitment look like?
Yeah.
You know, that's not for us to say, that's for our members to say.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Sienna. Thank you, Ray.
Yeah, no problem. So kind of on this theme of just some other coalition policy and grassroots organizing things that Ujima is engaged in, I do want to talk about the Massachusetts Public Banking Coalition. So at the time that you all will see this video, it will be last week. But on May 31st, the Massachusetts Public Banking Coalition would have held a information session is to learn more about our campaign to establish a public bank in Massachusetts. Our public bank legislation would increase access to capital for historically underserved businesses and communities throughout the Commonwealth, including women and minority-owned businesses, small farms, community-scale climate projects, coastal communities, and gateway cities. And so Ujima is represented in the coalition and also on the steering committee by myself and by Nia. Nia, who leads a lot of the coalition work, the communications work for the coalition. Myself, who was helping to lead a lot of the coalition building and legislative outreach for the coalition. And so if there are folks that are interested in joining the band, right? If there's an opportunity, you can reach out to me, you can reach out to Nia, and we will definitely be getting, we can bring you into the fold of public banking, because there's a lot more coming down the pipeline with our legislation. We already have plenty of support around that, and is trying to just garner some more legislative support, more community support. But we definitely see this as a pretty big deal and something that our community needs. So yeah, any questions about Massachusetts Public Banking Coalition?
Gosh, we're so close, it feels.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll definitely be reaching out.
absolutely. Yes, love that. And y'all reach out too. Reach out. So another coalitional space that we're a part of, and let me say this too, that I'm gonna name a few. We are in a lot of coalitional spaces, y'all. So we
Yeah.
are not sure on
Like
where-
30,
Yeah,
maybe more.
Yeah,
How it works.
yeah.
yeah.
So Ray is here, just real quick. We're in a lot of coalitional spaces. We don't show up to all of them well,
Mhm.
because we don't have the bandwidth. So Ray has been hired to work on that.
Yeah.
Ah,
So like smooth out that.
I have a question, but maybe first get through.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
okay.
And so we are part of the Better Budget Alliance, which is more of a Boston focused work that is happening with participatory budgeting. That's hard to say. And this came out really of what the people wanted. You know, there was a vote on this, and people said they wanted participatory budgeting in Boston, right? And so now there is an office that is developed for participatory budgeting. And what the Better Budget Alliance is trying to do is to make sure that this is just not a for show type of office, right? That the participatory budgeting is actually integrated in a very meaningful part of the offices that our city government has. And so what we do know is that right now, I think in the budget, it is budgeted for $1.3 million for the office to run and also for projects, right?
Mm.
That is a fraction of the cost of the amount that people are asking for. Folks are asking for 2% of the city budget to go towards participatory budgeting, which would be a grand total of $40 million. And they're trying to chop that up. So the vote does take place on June 7th. The budget vote takes place on June 7th. They will go to the mayor's office, and then there may be a little bit back and forth. But right now we're asking folks, you know, if you have time between now and June 7th, if you've seen this before June 7th, to, you know, send letters, emails to your counselors asking for 2% of the total city budget. Show up to some of these budget hearings if you can, ask for 2%. And that's really the least that folks can do is 2%. So yeah, if folks are interested in joining the Better Budget Alliance, myself and James, who's our chief of staff, represent Ujima in that space as well. Any questions about participatory budgeting, Better Budget Alliance?
I think I always wonder if it's not my city and this is Boston City initiative and budget, right? What can I do?
Yeah, so I think that's a really good question, Fiona. And one of the things that I think is cool is that we have folks from all over like the metropolitan Boston area. And what was really cool is in one of the last meetings, there was someone there from Somerville that talked about their participatory budgeting process, which really helped inform inform kind of some of the strategy that we're having. And so it is, I think if you come with the spirit to help, if you come with the spirit that like, this is what the people want and we want to, I want to help them see it to fruition, it's absolutely something that you can do. Yes.
One question I have is, to your point, right, like you're one person and your position is new, and yet, you know, Ujima's reach is very wide, and we've got this base of members, a lot of them who have like a lot of appetite to participate. So I don't think you necessarily have to answer this question, but I wonder what a structure looks like in the future where members are actually, you know, sharing in the labor of representing Ujima on.
Yeah, this is such a good question. Yeah, so, okay, so right now, in terms of our partnerships, me and our chief of staff are thinking about like what that looks like. And some of our partnerships are like organizational relationships, but some of them are like coalitional relationships, right? And so we are doing that work, number one, to evaluate what our relationship is. Is this a fruitful relationship? Is this stale? Do we need to reinvigorate this membership of this relationship like Gio and Mary are reinvigorating our membership, right? And so we are going through that process as we speak. And then in terms of that, as we go through that, right, we know that our members are a part of everything. And so from there will be a kind of a structure developed that where I'll be able to keep tab on who is where and be able to then check in, okay, well, what's going on with this? What is going, you know, is there any way that Ujima as an organization can like plug into this? Are you representation here? Just so that I can know, but actually Ujima is doing all of these things. And so I think it's a really good question. It takes time.
It does.
It takes so much time. And I think when I first came on, I was like really overzealous and thinking like, you know, in 6 months it's gonna be ready. That's not how relationships work, and it's also just not how the work works. And I think I'm finding that, and it's okay. But we're working on it. And so I'm really excited that you're thinking about that as well. Any other questions about process, relationships, coalitions, policy, grassroots organizing? All right.
Killing it. Keep going.
Yeah. And so lastly, what I'll talk about is one of the pillars that we talked about as a part of our coalition policy grassroots organizing member team, and also just something that we believe in our hearts with Ujima, is that we want to make sure that people they have the skills that they need and that they want. And so we do that at Ujima with, you know, some of our events and our workshops. But I'm also here to like pass along some information to some other types of skill building opportunities. So first I'd like to share BOLD, which is Black Organizing for Leadership and Dignity. They are a community organizing training group that is really, their focus is building up Black organizers across the country, really across the globe, through different trainings. They have trainings for folks who are beginner community organizers, all the way up for folks who are directors and lead organizers of their organization. And I think that as a BOLD alum and someone who's a part of the BOLD network, it is well worth the investment if you are a Black organizer interested in learning through like Black radical tradition, community organizing skills. Check out the website, www.boldorganizing.org, and they have a host of, we've got to go. They have a host of training offerings that folks can get into that is for Black organizers. Another learning opportunity is momentumcommunity.org. So Momentum really focuses a lot on building national movements. I'm also a Momentum alum and have facilitated with Momentum plenty of times. They focus, like I said, on building national movements, but also like intersectional movements across different different movements for a common goal. And they have spaces that are Black, so they have a Black momentum training, they have POC momentum training, they have general momentum that is for everyone. Plenty of those happen across the country, generally in person. They have a 101 coming up that is going to be virtual. So if folks are interested in any of the momentum trainings, take a look at their website. I highly encourage Momentum as well as another vehicle for learning a little bit more about organizing, and that is www.momentumcommunity.org. And then last thing I'll talk about is another training opportunity. And this is actually for trainers and facilitators, right? So this is training for change. And they hold a lot of virtual and in-person workshops for folks who hold meetings, who facilitate a lot, for folks who are leading campaigns. You can come, they accept folks who are like very novice facilitators to people who are very experienced. I was able to, an alum of this program as well, facilitate, go to their training for social change in person. And what I like about them is their website. It has a lot of resources on the website that you can use in a meeting. Different ways to open the space, different ways to do container building, different ways to do relationship building. And it's all massively done. The training is literally taught to you by doing the training material. And so it's really cool. And so you can look out for some of their online or in-person workshops and training at www.trainingforchange.org. And lastly, if there's any coalition or policy or grassroots organizing work that you are involved in that maybe I don't know about or I didn't mention, please reach out to me, ray@ujimaboston.com. If there is anything that you like on our newsletter, if there's anything that if you're not a part of our member team, but you'd like some information to get to our member team for us to consider doing work in that area, please let me know directly. Questions, comments?
I'm happy to work alongside you on this, Ray, and our amazing, members and community folks who are looking to engage more with you.
Absolutely.
I might bring this up.
Aw.
I might bring this up in our next anchor meeting, because we are also on a rotating leadership facilitators. And this might be, helpful for people to gain some confidence, especially the last training for change.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
Cool, thank you. And I think I just want to really quickly affirm one of Sienna's earlier comments. This is going back a little bit about the accountability committee for the coalition's policy and grassroots organizing member team. And to say, my mind went to, I number one, appreciate that. That's a new structure, I think, Gina. And so at the point at which there's enough kind of learning to document process and all that good stuff, I think it'd be useful for the other teams.
Absolutely.
It feels like almost like a blacksmith with Ray, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
In terms of we're in.
She's laughing at my reaction. Okay, I got it.
A blacksmith, you know what
I
I'm
love
saying?
it. Gio has a way with words.
No,
that I really appreciate. I get it now. Workshop, blacksmith. All right. I love it.
Shape things.
Both of you are interested in the mold that we're using to create the tools for our members and staff, for this member team development. And they are compatible.
Yeah.
These are all compatible tools for the rest of our member teams.
Absolutely.
Any other initiatives and movements that are born out of Ujima's ecosystem. So, we're working with,
Blacksmith it up.
we're
Right.
working with.
Blacksmithing it up.
Exactly.
Tagline.
Who else can say that? Some magma and metal.
And just curiously, is there ever a piece to kind of our organizing, whether it's under Gia's leadership with the policy membership group? Is there any limitation that says, well, we just can't afford it financially to kind of build this, or is there anything like that? Because, you know, we can mobilize fundraising and stuff.
Yeah, no, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Right now, no,
Yeah.
but that's right
Good.
now.
Okay, yeah,
I think it's a little too early to tell.
Yeah.
I think, you know, sometimes campaigns require a lot.
Right. Right.
You know, do you have $10 and we don't?
Right.
And so I think part of it really is,
Good.
we gotta get there.
Yeah.
We gotta get there.
but at the time that we get there, maybe that should not be like a forefront of like a barrier.
Right.
Because I think
Yeah.
we can
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
dream.
Thank you, thank you, Sienna. Gio, with some remaining member team updates, looks like you got some stuff here.
Thank you so much. So
Thank you, Ray.
thank you, Ray, and thank you to the rest of us for our contributions. I'm going to give some upcoming member team updates, things that we are looking forward to in our member teams. So arts and cultural organizing, June 7th, we are so happy to be engaging with our next micro learning pod. Previously we came out of Chantil's world, which was fantastic, and it sets the stage for the rest of our artists to follow. So this next micro learning pod is hosted by Saskia Van James, starting June 7th. And keep updated with us through our newsletter for any other arts or cultural organizing events to follow. So once again, that's June 7th at our typical 7:15 p.m. start time. After that, you heard about coalition policy and grassroots organizing. Great. However, I'd like to know the next date. It's going to be June 14th. So folks that have been engaged in the past already have some tasks to consider, tasks to undertake, and even tasks to create for June 14th. If you are still new to this process, feel free to email me or Ray. I'll start with my own email, geo@ujimaboston.com. If you have interest in joining this member team throughout our development process. It's looking like an Ujima summer, followed by some really beautiful and fundamentally, community changing autumn nights. So start with us June 14th, get involved. All we ask that is you log in with an open mind and think about what sort of skills you can bring to the table. Anchor institution team, June 21st, sweet, yes. So June 21st is our next Anchor institution team member team meeting. Perhaps we can hear about some updates from that in a moment. If not, that is okay. And then finally, we have our resourcing member team, which meets on Tuesdays. The next meeting time will be later this month, Tuesday, June 27th. And then ahead of that is July 25th. Keeping in mind that this member team is also in a different, but still in a development phase. And if you're interested in learning more about that, you can email myself again, geo@ujimaboston.com, or get in touch with James @ujimaboston.com. That's JAMES@ujimaboston.com. You hear about the sustenance campaign and more. So any updates for the updates? For the updates. Okay.
Is it too late for the resourcing member team by June 27th to participate in the Sustain 100?
I don't have an immediate answer for that.
I have a feeling it might be, but that's okay.
Do you know when the campaign's ending?
I thought it was June 23rd was the end of
Okay. Yeah,
it.
and unfortunately, I don't know
Okay,
either.
that's okay.
Okay,
Excellent.
thank you,
Yeah.
Sienna.
So all the more reason to contact James.
I'm listening.
All the more reason.
Yeah.
Give us the plug.
Right.
Last Anchor Institutions team meeting was actually a special faith networking meeting.
Mm.
And so we did kind of promote the sustenance campaign, and there were at least 2 or 3 people who were trying to
We're
connect
interested.
on that campaign. So
Okay.
that's the only reason I remember.
Yeah, and you know what? So that meeting was May 17th. And I know that Faith Network meeting, was May
That's right.
17th. And I know that a conversation that James and I had, I can't remember if it was before or after that, but we did talk about slowing down the sustenance campaign a bit. Just because one of the reasons James was moving a little faster is because we also have our United Black Economies campaign.
Okay.
And we wanted a nice, clean ending and then some transition period. But we're not gonna be doing the United Black Economies campaign the same way
Okay.
this year, the same way we did it last year. We're gonna be focusing on storytelling. So we had talked about the fact that there's actually more time for the sustenance campaign. So on that note,
Yeah.
perhaps it is extended beyond June 23rd.
Okay.
I just don't know for sure. Yeah.
So I think what I'll do is I still owe the Anchor team listserv a summary, and I'll just kind of make that link
Yep,
so that people who feel like they want to join the campaign, that it's not too late.
absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Sam.
More coming at you, James.
So, and that was the updates for the updates. I'm always gonna replug and then replug again, coalitions, policy and grassroots organizing. And the best way to keep in touch with us, I'm gonna always talk about our newsletter. Please sign up for the newsletter. We do not spam, we strategically and periodically send really well thought out and designed emails. So shout out to the comms team.
All right.
Ujima, we have a lot of style,
We do.
and thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Gio. We don't spam, but we do send a lot of emails. But let's distinguish it from spam.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I just did this because we do send a lot of emails.
Need to know basis.
Right, exactly.
It literally is the best way to stay involved.
Exactly.
Wake up to Ujima. Do it.
Thank you, Gio. All right, so next, we're just gonna preview our summer 2023 investor report. That is slated to be released June 30th. As a reminder, we do investor reports every quarter. And they're usually themed. So the last investor report that came out was March 30th. So again, just in terms of regularity, consistency, we slate them to come out the last day each quarter. So you can then generally know when the next ones are gonna come out. So last one, I think, was March 30th, March 31st. I think March 31st is when it came out. The next one is gonna be June 30th. We're gonna be highlighting our investment committee. In our last report, we highlighted our standards committee. Our kind of loose theme for the year for our investor reports are essentially the people kind of behind the scenes, very closely tied to investments. So just want you to be out on the lookout for that. And I'll pause because it looks like we have some questions.
One question, and this might be a little selfish because I was involved with supporting the inaugural investor
Yes,
years ago.
yes.
But how do you want members to engage with the investor report? How can it how does it inform their out as members? And
Yeah.
how do you see engaging with it?
I appreciate this question, Samala. And actually here, I am gonna do a little bit of screen sharing. So on that note, first of all, where's my screen share ability? First of all, oh, here it is. So first of all, shout out to Samala because Samala said she was involved with the inaugural report. She designed the inaugural report, which I just want everyone to see because it's gorgeous.
So
So
much better than now.
the report's absolutely gorgeous. So I'm just gonna go to I think this is it here. So this was the inaugural report, and as you can see, it was just gorgeous. We did the site. And we also did a PDF. So again, shout out to Samala. Samala came up with our Afrofuturistic
Sierra.
theme,
Sierra
and
too.
Sierra worked on it closely together. And we essentially just tried to follow suit from that inaugural report. So the question was, how do we want members to engage? So one, I will say very intentionally, again, following from what the inaugural report looked like, we want it to be beautiful. So design is very important. The aesthetic is very important. And we want people to pay attention to the stories. So I talked about who we're highlighting in the last investor report. We highlighted our standards committee. So we do want people to read the interviews. We want people to get to know the people behind Ujima. We want people to, we also use this as a space to really kind of transmit in a few different ways and remind people of our values. So here, this quote from Luis Cotto, who's a member of the Community Standards Committee, who says, underlying all of these standards is a basic respect for individuals as humans. So we want people to come here and experience this space where we're working to emphasize what's important via beauty, via storytelling. We also use it to inform. So we want people, this is yet just another channel that we use to inform people, very specifically focused on the Ujima Fund, so pretty narrowly focused on the Ujima Fund. So we want people to know that they can come here to find out what's new with the fund. So in our last report, we talked about our procurement initiative. These are standing sections, our portfolio highlights. So we want people to come and to learn what's the latest, like who's in the portfolio now. If, you know, for example, I've opted out of the emails because there are a lot. I can come here and I can learn who's new to the portfolio. Last report, people were able to learn about Kush Groove and Comfort Kitchen if they didn't know about them before being new, and then get updates. Jazzer Bain passes a regulatory milestone. Settle got an expanded contract in Northeastern. I'll say this is one of the channels too where our investors are also an intentional audience in a way that they're not with our other channels. So we try to be mindful that we have some investors, for example, that are very hands-off, invested in the fund. They're not trying to be a huge kind of dominant presence. They don't necessarily want to be bothered. But we do also want to provide a channel or a space where there are updates, where people can know, well, what's happening with my investment? How is it being invested? What's happening with the businesses that have received investment? So this is where members especially, so everything is centered around our membership, and investors on top of that can come and find this information. Another standing section is our business alliance section. So you can learn about other businesses in the Ujima Good Business Alliance that are not a part of the portfolio. Difference being portfolio means we invested in them. That's the difference. So we want to provide updates. Again, just people wondering what's happening with them. How are they doing? What's the latest? Usually, sometimes the investor report coincides with an assembly month. So then we'll try to provide some information about what's upcoming. Some other standing items at the bottom is our investment pipeline. So I appreciate this question, Samala, because we want people to be able to track what's happening with the pipeline. So as you kind of talked about a little earlier, this sense of Ujima as slow moving, kind of wondering what's happening, and not just a sense Ujima is slow moving, but kind of wondering what's happening. You don't have to be completely in the dark and wait for us to announce something to know what's going on. You can come to our pipeline status page. I talked about this earlier. The first page, here's a list of our community needs. Actually, I just clicked on the overview, sorry. Here's a list of our community needs. So you see, actually, there are 15 needs. And then you can link to see our feasibility studies on our YouTube page. So you can come here and catch up on that. You can see all of our investment list, and you can see what's happening with them. So you see the year that they were created. Differentiate between list and plan. Plans have been ratified. You can see what's happening. So you can see that these top 4, they've been ratified. Yes, quorum was reached. we show the vote status, it's complete, it's active. Then you can see, this is what I was referring to earlier. We have these 5 lists here that are older, dating back to 2019. Still pending. So this businesses we need process that we talked about earlier, it's been created to address. It's not going to get all of these businesses, but just to be able to kind of bring them in a little faster. So we do ask that people interact with that. Neighborhood plans. This is one of my favorites. You can look and you can see what's happening. Okay. So Dorchester, I click on it. You can see all of the businesses that have been named. You can see how we're progressing. Some are not BIPOC owned, you know that. So they're not in consideration. So also for members, you can kind of look and see the business that I do, what's happening with that business. So what's happening with Clark's Cookies and Cakes. Okay, looks like they've been prioritized for investment in 2023. What else is happening? I need to do is that the heading stay. The team is conducting outreach. Okay, great. I see that Hoyle Savaka McGill not interested in the UGBA. I see these people are interested in the UGBA. Some people are completing their applications. So you go all the way across and kind of track what's happening with each of these neighborhood plans. And when we first started, Ujima has always been all of Boston proper, but people would, because we say BIPOC communities, people then would just kind of boil it down to 3, but there are more than 3 BIPOC communities in Boston. So people would say Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan. So for those are the 3 neighborhoods we started with first. You'll now see we have businesses that have been named in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, you can see it on the screen in these neighborhoods. So Back Bay, Chinatown, Dorchester, East Boston, Fenway, Hyde Park, Jamaica Plain, Mattapan, Mission Hill, North End, Roslindale, Roxbury, South Boston, South. So you can click on all of these. They mostly get updated when we're doing the investor reports. We do try to update them more regularly. So that I think we want to maybe try to update them monthly. So I would say probably, top of each month. If it's something you want to follow, you can go here and you can track what's happening. Same business alliance. This is just the chart version, I guess, of what you saw on the home page. You can go to the Ujima Business Alliance page. You can see what's happening. Who's seeking investment? Who's seeking TA? Who's getting TA? Who got investment successfully. And then here, another one of my favorite parts. Here we put all of the if you go to number 6, all of the investment ballots. So if I just click on the we're going to be loading this up with Cupcake Therapy and the Pearl soon. But if I click on Comfort Kitchen, you see how many eligible voters there were. That's a whole other thing we could talk about, is what does eligible mean, but won't get into that right now. What the quorum was, how many voters voted. Then we show you the breakdown, who approved, the different types of approvals, abstentions, who said no. We give you the racial data, percentage and number. We give you gender data. We give you income data. You get some graphs, get some charts of the same information. And then here we also show you the comments. So if you recall from your ballots, when you vote the way you vote, we ask, why are you voting the way you vote? I think that's optional. I don't think it's mandatory, so not everyone completes that. But here we divide it up with just a straight yeses. So you can see what all of the people who said yes, why did they say yes? People who said yes, although I have some concerns, I will note below, why did they say that? People who said I abstain and affirm the majority, why did they say that? People who say I abstain and choose not to add my vote to the majority, why do they say that? People who say no, why do I say that? I'll say Comfort Kitchen, no votes. So I think it's the only vote we've had so far where there have been no votes. So we don't see that here. And then we also have this chart. What are the ways you would be willing to support? It's a little hard to see. We'll make that bigger next time. So we have the chart as well as the actual text. So a lot of information there. And then we also have some charts that tag to the demographic information. Definitely, I'd say usually between a week and 2 weeks of a vote closing, we aim to update this section here. The last bit that I'll point out is our financial dashboard. So at the top, usually then is what's been deployed or committed to date. So June 30th, we had committed or deployed $925,000. That's up 76% from our last report, which was September 30th in 2022. And then again, we really do want people to pay attention to this because some people will ask us this sometimes on the ballot. They'll ask us these questions, but we tell you what types of investments are being made. So here you see that there was one startup. It doesn't always necessarily tag to the amount. These categories are not as, they're a little more neat than exist in real life. So this startup, it's in the startup category because it was a startup loan or startup investment, but the amount was actually 200,000. So I think what's more important than the amount is the category. So one startup loan was made, or startup investment, I should say, 5 growth loans. And then we explain at the bottom what's what. You can also see the industry. So 2 investments made in retail, 1 in finance and insurance, 1 in administrative and support and waste management, 2 in accommodation and food services. We also show you community needs. So this is also my favorite. Well, so actually, sorry. So that's investments by industry and investments by type. Then we go into information about the Business Alliance, and there are some things. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up. Siona's telling me to wrap it up, but this is the last part. So this, we show you what's happening with the Business Alliance, also coupled with investments. So here you see how many businesses in the Ujima Business Alliance meet community needs. You also see how many investments do. So there's one that's an urban farm. There's one that's Black Market type space, we're in it. There are 4 that are sit-down restaurants. There's 1 that's a supermarket, 2 that are multiple needs. In terms of investments, 2 that meet sit-down restaurants and 1 that meets supermarket. Neighborhood, this was asked about in our last ballot. 6 in Dorchester, Business Alliance, 3 investments in Dorchester, 6 Business Alliance members in Roxbury, 2 investments in Roxbury, and then 1 outside Boston proper. I'll stop here. The rest talks about vendors, TA, certifications, community ownership, workers is a cool chart. Look at wages, all that good stuff. So that's how we want to. Thank you, Samala.
Thank you, Nia.
One thing I'll mention is, on some of our member teams, we do some onboarding of new team members. And while it's an investment report, it's always helpful. It's very tangible. So I think I'm gonna start, encouraging that as part of their onboarding education to our member team.
Thank you, Sienna. Everyone's laughing.
That was very
Fiona's like.
I didn't actually know all that was there, so this is really helpful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the question.
Yeah,
Samantha.
see?
Yeah.
No.
All right. We are at our last agenda item, which is, just want to preview our next Ujima Fund Town Hall, speaking of investor report. So we held our inaugural town hall April 29th. That was our first one. Our next one will be, that was a Saturday. We tried a Saturday thing, didn't really go off. We're gonna go back to a weekday evening. Our next one is gonna be July 11th. And the way we're tagging these is to follow our investor reports. So the primary format for our fund town halls will be reviewing the investor report. So summarizing it the way I did, but maybe a little faster. I don't know, a little less wordy. I don't know. Also reviewing the most recent votes. So that will be cupcake therapy. That'll be the Pearl. There we go through all of the feedback questions we get. We try to answer some live. That makes sense to answer live. We'll also send something out, and perhaps the Bay State banner, preview that's coming, and perhaps we'll have completed that vote by then. It's also time to meet and provide some feedback on potential co-investment partners. And we did, I believe, just upload the video of our first fund town hall on the YouTube. So you can find it to get a flavor.
Nice.
That was fast. I'll pause there. Questions?
Is there a time?
Oh, I think it starts I think it's gonna start at 6:30. It's gonna be on Zoom. Yeah, I'll say this, I think we are gonna maybe try to have a hybrid component, provide some food, get some people in here. Yeah.
Nice.
All right,
What's going on?
there's a lot going on.
Big faces, just picking up and. Yeah, this is great timing with the opening question.
I was thinking that.
Yes.
I would never think that I don't have enough work to do. I think it's-
Yes,
I need a little bit of boundary setting.
all right,
Capacity budget.
Capacity budget. I love
Capacity
that
budget.
phrase. Yeah.
all right. Well, with that, I think we're done. No more questions, no more reflections, no more feedback. They just don't want me to talk more. I know there are questions.
Thank you,
Down
Ujima,
hall.
for inviting us.
Thank you. With that, we will say good night and we will see you next